Good evening and welcome to Season 2, Episode 12. This evening, I'm speaking with three superwomen, and they really are superwomen, who've been giving back selflessly ever since I've known them, and they continue doing so. Joining me this evening are Dr. Ketna Mehta from Bombay, Sherry Yazdani, also from Bombay, and Urvi Mehta, who's joining us from Austin in Texas. Good evening, ladies, and welcome. Sorry. Dr. Mehta. I've known her almost for about a decade, and all I always remember is her smiling face. She's the founder trustee of Nina Foundation. She's a thought leader on disability solutions. She's a university topper from the Jamnabai Institute of Management Studies, a PhD, Masters in Marketing Management, CMC, FIMC. She's an inspirational speaker, an educationist, advisor in healthcare, rehabilitation management. She's an editor, author, professor, researcher, conscious keeper, and a management curator. I have to admit here that amongst all the panelists that I've had, doing a slide to introduce Dr. Mehta has been most difficult for me. I tried to put all that she's worthy of being put on a PPT. And believe me, it went into 32 slides. I hope I am doing justice to her in trying to pick up what I think is most important for this short slide. Sorry, Dr. Mehta. I wish I could do that, but this is my best. She's worked with the Times Group, the Blue Dart Express, UBIC Consultancy, Wellinger Institute, where she was an associate dean. She's been a visiting faculty at various institutions. Amongst her various awards and recognition and accolades, she's also been conferred with the International Rotary Award for PhD thesis. Most notable amongst her awards is the Shell Helen Keller Award in 2002. Ketna loves outdoors and the beautiful Mumbai coastline and would like to give by sharing her abundant knowledge and wisdom as a corporate management inspirational speaker and disability consultant. We're going to talk with her about Nina Foundation and a lot more on all that inspires her. Welcome, Dr. Mehta. Sherry Yazdani, she's the Director of Student Outcomes and Partnerships with Antarang Foundation in Mumbai. She's a social impact professional, a strong team builder, and is passionate about working with people. She has amassed over 20 years of experience across hospitality, aviation, retail, employability sectors in HR, learning and development, and the operations functions. She's previously worked with Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Shangri-La Hotels, the Taj Group of Hotels, the Jumeirah Group of Hotels, and the Emirates Airlines. Sherry's been a student of mine, and I always knew that there's something different about her. There's a spark in her which is waiting for her to touch many lives. She's been doing that for a long time, and I'm extremely proud to have her on this session today. She has built core competencies in program and process design and delivery. She mentors and develops varied teams. She's led organizations through change management with a learning orientation and a solutions approach. She's currently, as I said, the Director of Student Outcomes and Partnerships at Antarang Foundation, which essentially is an organization that helps employability to the youth. We'll hear from her more about what Antarang does and what she does. Welcome, Sherry. Lovely to have you here. Urvi Mehta. She has no connection with Dr. Mehta. It just so happens that they share the surname. She's a physician assistant with the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. She's joining us live right now from Austin, as I said. She's on a well-earned break after so many months, and she's with her parents. Urvi's received a master's in the physician assistant studies from UT Health Science Center at San Antonio, and she's done her undergrad degree in human development and family sciences at the University of Texas in Austin. She's been a physician assistant since 2011 in the Department of Melanoma Medical Oncology at MD Anderson Cancer Center. That's her and her colleagues working bravely in the last 6-7 months, like many frontline warriors. Urvi is involved with coordinating the melanoma rotation for the PA fellows and students, and is an active member of the PA Senate, which helps to assist in growth of her profession. She loves her profession and her life as a mother of two dogs, which has provided her some of the greatest lessons. The two on top, the extreme right corner, the one with the naughty eyes, is Kima. The one on the left is Kirby. And below is good old Joey, who's right now in doggy land and showering all his love and blessings to Urvi and all of us around. Urvi has loved fostering animals, and she believes her profession has helped her understand the importance of living life to the fullest. Urvi, I know it's very early, uh, not a great time, but thank you so much for doing this. Can't wait to get this conversation started. And whilst I have everyone's attention, Saturday, the 26th of September, is the season finale. I'm speaking with three lovely people from the sales and marketing industry on the power of sales. Take a snapshot, the link is there and it's open. I'd love to have you guys join in on season 2 finale. With this, I'm stopping the screen share and having the ladies come on live so we can start our conversations. Hello and welcome. Lovely to see you all again.
Hello.
Hi.
Excellent. So as I know, the audience can see only the one who's speaking. So before I deep dive straight away into it, thank you, Harsh. Thank you, Kshitij, for raising your hands. Audiences who've joined in for the first time, you will see two buttons in front of you. The raise a hand, which means you're waving out to us. I'm waving back to you on behalf of the panelists and myself. And you have a Q&A. Shilpa CD, thank you once again for raising your hand, waving, and many more. And you have a Q&A. You could put in your questions, comments in that, and I will take it up with the panelists from time to time. It's a restricted view, so the rest of the audiences can't see the questions or comments. It's only visible to me and the panelists. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Great. So I'm going to go straight into all of this, and there's so much to speak with each one of you. Okay, and this time I'm doing it a little differently. I'm going to allow all of you to speak and tell and share your stories. I know I've not been able to do justice in the introductions, but here's the time, as much as you want. We'll start with Dr. Mehta first, followed by Sherry, and then Urvi. Much more than what you're doing right now, what inspired you to do what you're doing, a little bit about your organizations. Let's start. Dr. Mehta, good evening, welcome. Lovely to have you. And the floor is all yours.
Good evening, namaste, and thank you so much, Satyan and my younger brother Dhaval, for connecting us, reconnecting us, and congratulations, Superwomen. And I think the best Superwoman is Meher, your wife, Satyan, because while you have this conversation with three irresistible women, and mind you, this is season 2. I think all our mothers, my sister Nina, they are the real superwomen because they drive whatever we do, right? And to tell you about, I'm extremely grateful to everyone, and I speak on behalf of each and every one in Nina Foundation because even though I'm the one talking, it's a huge team. And they are all behind what we do. So the story is like this. I have a spinal cord injury due to a paragliding accident 25 years ago. Yes, 25 years ago. And I walk with a standing frame generally. So I am always I cannot just get up and start walking like everyone else. So it's very important to know about what happens when a spinal cord injury happens. And because there are participants here, and I must say, Satyan, that my Professor Fernandez is here, who is my marketing professor from Jamnalal Bajaj. Thank you. Dr. Damani, who's a neurosurgeon, is here, who has been part of our Rotary Club for so many years. Thank you, and quite a few other friends. So when this accident happened in Virar, Mumbai, and after that I met and came to know about, I had never known the word paraplegia, honestly, for all our vocabulary and everything. And I met a whole lot of friends, made a whole lot of friends, doctors, therapists, and they put my system together. And my biggest inspiration was my elder sister, Dr. Neena Doshi. She was a homeopath doctor, just a year and a half older to me and my brother. And uh, she was with me constantly, listening to me, sharing what is happening, being a medical doctor, sharing about what's happening. So gradually I got to know that I don't have sensation below the level of my injury, which is thoracic level 12, Urvi, and that I do not have bladder and bowel continence. So, the sphincter which controls our regular movement, which we take so much for granted, and also a whole lot of other things. And I had to relearn to live my life, and that essentially Nina did it. So after a month, we got back home, and my entire family, my brother-in-law is also a doctor, my younger brother Dhaval, and my sister-in-law Rupal, and we just, an entire team of doctors and therapists. 5 years into my rehabilitation and life, we suddenly lost Nina. One fine day, she just wakes up and she collapses. That was more devastating than losing our parents, more devastating than my near fatal spinal cord injury. And this was like just blew us away. Subsequently, realizing that I have been carrying on with my life, going to Bajaj to give my lectures, continuing with my work, realize that why don't we start doing something that uh, transmits that inspiration of Nina's to more number of people. So it just started as a thought. Dhaval, though young, very quiet, has an ad agency, was completely the force behind this. And my entire team of doctors, Dr. Riten Pradhan, who rescued me in Virar, a lifelong friend, family friend, Dr. Bhojraj, who was operating on a Sunday, who's the best spine surgeon in Asia Pacific in the hospital and who operated on me, Dr. Jacob, who's the best physiotherapist on this planet, I think, who has helped so many friends with spinal cord injury rehabilitate. Uh, Dhaval Hemubai, my brother-in-law, Dr. Parina Sumranwala, who is a homeopath doctor, friend of Nina's and my sister now. Maybe Sherry knows her, Dr. Parina Sumranwala. And that's how we started Nina Foundation. And here we are.
Thank you. I know, Ketna Ben, there's a lot of passion, a lot of pain behind all that you once said. We'll try and uncover some of it, uh, just purely for the fact that it's a all of you have wonderful stories to talk about and remember some of the good things. Thank you for doing this, Sherry. Welcome once again, and talk to us about your move from hospitality and retail and all the jazz to such a beautiful thing that you're doing, and also about what Antarang is doing and changing lives of students. All yours.
So I'm going to start by saying that I've been nursing a sore throat. So everybody, very, very sorry if I sound like a man. I don't usually sound like that. Dr. Mehta, I mean, really hats off, such a brilliant life story experience, I think. And to see you smile through all of that, it's just phenomenal, I think. No words to even express or, talk about other ill happenings in people's lives. So really hats off, and it's brilliant to see that. Misconception, all Parsis don't know each other. We are still about 65,000. So that's a sizable number to get to know each other. So no, I don't know the doctor you're talking about, but really hats off to her too. About me, but before I begin, I want to start by thanking you, sir, as I still call you that because you'll always be that for me, but thanking you for having me on the panel. It's a lot of honor for me. I've not ever imagined that this is where we'll be 21 years later. Still remember the day one that I saw you, doesn't change. You still feel, look, give that same warmth. So thank you for having me and thank you for being there. About my story, so spent about 16 years in hospitality in different functions of training, human resources, thoroughly enjoyed. I'm by heart a hospitality professional, I'll always be. I think I was just trained by the best. 2 best years of my life at the Sophia Polytechnic because of you, because of Ma'am Meher and everyone else who was there. And I think life just kind of took a turn to allow me to do something that I felt I was passionate about. I've always been passionate about working with people, being of any use, service, help to people. And I think life just allowed me to take the plunge to be able to just jump in and kind of do what I believe, which is kind of being able to support people in whatever endeavors they have. And that's how Make-A-Wish happened. So the focus of Make-A-Wish was to really fulfill hopes and dreams of young children who are terminally ill, a lot of them suffering from oncological illnesses, and I'm sure we will understand how that is. But however, I think I had a short journey with Make-A-Wish. It was only a year long because just life again took me to an even more beautiful place, which is Antarang Foundation. I've been with them 4.5 years, exciting journey. I've joined this organization when we were only about 7 or 8 people, reaching about 3,500 young people. And 4.5 years later, today we are about 150, reaching about 85,000. So it's a huge, huge journey that I've been blessed to be a part of. Antarang Foundation primarily works with young people in the slums and impoverished backgrounds of Mumbai, and we do career guidance, counseling, and employability skills for young people so that they can get the same access to formal sector work like each of us have. And the beauty of this organization is in the belief of human potential. And I think that's what got me going day one, and it still keeps me going almost 4.5 years later, because the whole genesis is from the idea that every person has potential, but it's access to opportunities that kind of puts us where we are. So whether we're privileged or not, that kind of access really puts us to where we are. So I think the team really works hard to kind of provide the same platform, same access for the young people so that they are able to work at, a McKinsey or a JP Morgan or a Z Cinema. And that's what we do. So it's fantastic. It's a beautiful journey, and I'm just super blessed to be part of it.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to keep coming back to you and learn a little bit more about Antarang and the challenges that you and your students and your peers have. That's what I really want to talk about as well. But thank you for doing this. Welcome, Urvi, once again.
Thank you.
Very early in the morning for you, but thank you for doing this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. And I mean, it's a blessing to be here in the midst of these amazing women. I mean, these are amazing stories and really incredible. My journey has been kind of one of, I started volunteering in nursing homes and hospitals when I was younger, obviously, and just kind of fell in love with medicine, fell in love with patient care. Really that was my main focus through college and, high school and everything. I ended up choosing to go the physician assistant route. So basically, I know it's not a common profession in India. So it's basically, I liken it in, it's kind of a midpoint between a nurse and a physician. So I'm able to still prescribe, treat, see my own patients, but I am still part of a team with a physician. So I started out, in college, I did an internship with a physician assistant. I knew this was the direction that I wanted to go in. Went to PA school, loved every minute of it, loved the medicine, loved, every bit of that. And I thought oncology was going to be the last place that I would end up practicing, it was very scary to me. I mean, it was a very, you know, sad and very, you know, in my mind, it was a very sad, somber kind of profession. And so I decided that I wanted to do a rotation in oncology because I wanted to really, you know, cancer is everywhere at this point. So I really wanted to get an idea of kind of the medicines and things to look for. So when I did my oncology rotation, I absolutely just felt that this was where I needed to be. My undergrad degree was in human development and family sciences, and I was really able to utilize that along with my love for medicine. And you know, it was a beautiful union. So I started at MD Anderson about 9 years ago in the Department of Melanoma Medical Oncology, which is so treating patients with metastatic disease to the organs and to other areas of the body. And I've been there ever since, and it's been a beautiful journey, and I've been blessed to be a part of all these patients' lives. I mean, it's kind of the most vulnerable time of people's lives, and it really, you know, takes everything down to kind of the nitty gritty of what to be thankful for in life. And so I've been blessed to be there.
Thank you, Urvi. Kitnaben, I want to come to you and ask you, you know, a very straight pointed question, if I may say so. Okay? How difficult is it to accept reality in your case? How difficult it was at that stage, and then knowing that, you know, this is how it's going to be for the rest of your life, for you and for the others as well. You want to answer that, please?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a life-altering episode. It's a life-altering. So 32, I was 32 years of age. The fortunate part was that in my career, and I'm an extremely work-focused, workaholic person, I don't give me anything, but I need to work. I can work day and night. So, you know, it's kind of in our genes. And when this happened, bodily, there were so many changes. You know, like one cannot feel hot or cold sensation in our legs. We cannot feel if there is something heavy kept or if I'm sitting on something. So all these were new discoveries. But also the fact that for my basic routines, and I think this is what many people don't realize. So we also did a campaign with Bloomberg, you know, so wherever the gaps, that, you know, people talk about road accidents, people talk about falls, and then they say, okay, so many died or so many had head injuries. But nowhere will you find how many people had a spinal cord injury and how many are living with the problems and issues associated with that. So the most difficult part was that to actually leave all embarrassment and be there while in the hospital or at home. My sister is doing a self-catheter, a CIC, which is clean intermittent catheterization. That means I do not have sensation in my bladder, and actually it has to be physically voided with a catheter. So a plastic tube is inserted every time the bladder is full and I have to void that urine, you know. And we openly talk about it because people don't realize while drinking and driving, people don't realize while, you know, doing all kinds of activities that if the spinal cord is affected, the vertebra is burst, the nerves beneath that are going to be in trauma. Bowel also, one needs to have a routine, etc. And, you know, there were times when Dr. Jacob would be giving me exercises and I wouldn't know. I'm just doing it, and then suddenly I have this sixth sense that, you know, Nina is behind, and I said, what happens? No, nothing. Both of them wouldn't tell me anything, and then I would discover that, you know, I had a bowel accident. That was the initial period and the years. So that was difficult to come to terms with, that you could be a, you know, a topper, or you could be the most intelligent person on this planet. But the spinal cord has got affected. This is what happens. The very fact that one is not able to get up from the bed, you know, like if you tell me I'm doing a push-ups with my hands, with my upper body, with my triceps, you know, I mean, I need to get up. I need to get up holding it, and I need to build my muscles lifelong. I need to exercise lifelong so that my muscle toning is there and I'm able to do all the things. We were living on the first floor in Sion in Mumbai, and it didn't have a lift, which meant you introduced me as a person who loves the outdoors, which meant the institutes were inviting me for, you know, continuing with my visiting lectureship and management, which meant that I had to learn to come down, you know, learn to do that. And all that was a teamwork. It didn't happen overnight, but that was a process. We always had a computer at home, you know, so I'm talking about the DOS. And once it happened, it was a monochrome computer in our bedroom. And once it happened, I was sitting there and, you know, like usual, doing something and working. And from the printer, the paper fell down. I had the shock of my life. I couldn't bend to pick it up. That was the reality. So it has been a difficult journey. It has been overcoming those little speed bumps. But yes, it is difficult for anyone who has spinal cord injury. And that's why Nina Foundation, we also do a lot of education for prevention.
Thank you. Thank you, Kitnaben. I know that you know that this conversation is not about pity, or it's not about, trying to show a softer side to anyone. It's purely about getting people to know about these things and sharing your stories. And there's so much more that I need to talk to you and you need to share. So thank you for doing this. Urvi, I'm going to come to you before I get into Sherry, and Sherry will have to wait her turn this time. So, Urvi, the last 6 months have been very difficult across the world, especially with the pandemic. Yeah. What's really intriguing for me is your brethren across the world, and particularly in a hospital, if I may say so, a medical care center, which is attending to cancer patients. How difficult was it for them? Because there must have been restrictions for family members to come in, to meet them suddenly, and them not knowing exactly what's happening. The amount of pressure that you and your peers would have had. You want to talk to us a little bit about that, please? Both the emotional journey for you, for the patients as well, and all the doctors and the assistants, please.
Yeah, I think, it was kind of just a sudden thing. I mean, we had to adjust to a very different way of doing things. In a cancer institute, patients' families are probably the most important aspect that they can have with them. I mean, from, going over scan results to even having treatments in the hospital, outside the hospital. And yeah, they went from being able to have their family members there for support and, for, words of words of wisdom, basically. And they, it was a shock for patients. Patients were very upset. I mean, obviously we were, the patients that we know, that we were able to kind of be a part of their family prior to this, it was a little bit easier for them because we were able to, still be there as a support for them. They were still able to have their families on FaceTime and everything, but it was just a new world. And, patients are still getting used to it. I mean, they're still upset. They're still, scared, obviously, about what the future holds for them in terms of cancer, but also with the COVID situation. Everybody's afraid that, I'm on treatment. Am I more susceptible? Am I, what do I need to be doing? So it's been, you know, a lot of education on our part. It's been a lot of, and we're still learning as well. I mean, we're still learning and growing as medical professionals in what to tell patients and how, you know, how to get them past all of this. In terms of us, I mean, we're still blessed to be able to go back to work and to be able to be there for these people. I mean, I think it's really important. And our institution takes really good care of us. Obviously, we're taking all the precautions, wearing the masks, wearing the face shields. It's been a big, you know, drive to kind of educate the rest of Houston or surrounding area about the importance of masks and about the importance of social distancing. And, you know, there's been a lot of back and forth about that. Obviously, our state really wanted to open up very quickly and our numbers were rising. So, yeah, I mean, it's just been, it's been a day-to-day thing and it's been a learning experience, no doubt.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to you and on the emotional part, particularly for you and you guys, and which is slightly difficult to speak about, but you can think about it because I want to come back soon to ask you how you manage even now. Coming to you, Sherry, Antarang doing a fantastic piece of work. Not a lot of many people know about Antarang. People who want to help and they do some research, they do you know, kind of get going. So it's about employability, right? You make them career ready, and you kind of do give them if I may say so, nurture their talent. How do you guys find potential candidates? Do they come to you, or do you guys go out? Talk to us a little bit about you know, the whole process of how can someone join Antarang, and then what happens after they join, and what is it that you guys teach?
So yeah, happily. So the life cycle of a young person, how we get them to enroll the program. As a not-for-profit, we work only with the underserved communities. So there are three primary ways in which we reach them. In Mumbai, we work with tier 2, tier 3 colleges, and we run the program in the college. So essentially, we are a training institute and we run a core employability skilling program. So one way to reach them is through tier 2, tier 3 kind of colleges. The second way to reach them is through other not-for-profits that work with young people. So immaterial of what work they do, whether it's malnourishment, whether it's hygiene, whether it's safety, whether it's health, or even just mainstream education. Post their kind of program, we become almost the last mile connectivity, you know, for a late teenager to kind of start thinking about their career or the next piece of their life. And the third way we do it is we have, Antarang has their own mobilization team that works in slum communities and kind of gathers these young people into training program, into a classroom and does the program. The last 6 months has been super different from how Antarang has been for the last 7 years. So entire work has gone online. So it's now a digital program and we reach, you know, friends, alumni references, so on and so forth. But we run the entire program virtually today. So that's the first piece of the life cycle where they join into the program. The crux of the program really talks about self. And we believe that even though schools and some amount of colleges have aptitude testing or interest mapping, the big piece that is missing is the realities. And what we do drive down with the underserved people that we work with largely is the piece of your own reality, your own skills, what you are, who you are, what you enjoy, what you like, but more importantly, even the family realities, right? What kind of money can your parents shell out for education, or what kind of understanding do you have about sectors and careers out there? So two very paradoxical views and experiences I've experienced in these last years at Antarang is young people in Bombay, especially in a very urban setup as Bombay, on one hand, they are super aspirational, super aspirational with no sense of reality. And at the other end of the spectrum, they are extremely non-aspirational. They'll just follow their parents' footsteps, which is largely in the informal sector, exploitative labor, even though they have tons of potential. So we tend to kind of see these young people at the end of both spectrums. And our work is to really post the program, bring them at the center to be able to look at themselves, look at who they are and what kind of career would really suit them. So unlike Indian education, where you kind of jump in study commerce and then figure out what you want to do with life. We kind of start back to front. We tell them, imagine yourself of where you're going to be and then kind of figure out what you want to study. So we're trying to almost reverse the cycle of how education selection happens, and get them to believe that A or B career is going to be great for you because of parameters of yourself, because of parameters of the reality that you understand of the sector or the careers, and then therefore you choose. The whole idea is that we largely work with first generation educated young people, first generation that wants to join the formal sector. And really our role is to become, almost a role model or a coach or a guide in their lives to kind of just push them to the right direction so that they're able to make a career rather than jump jobs, which is what usually happens with this demographic.
Sure. May I ask you, do you guys give certificates and do you kind of give them, yeah? And are these, so you're nodding, so that's yes, the audience can't see you because they can probably see me right now. So that's a yes, but and are these recognized by any government body?
So no, they're not recognized by government bodies only because we don't do any vocational training. What we do is we do core employability skilling, which focuses on them getting into the right career. The focus is to select the right career and the focus is to give them 21st century life skills. That is not certified by and large by NSTC, which is largely the Skill India governing body. So therefore, no, there is no government recognized certificate, but I think we've been in the employability space for really long. Our certificate holds quite a nice amount of value when the young person kind of takes that and goes into corporate India. The post-program support is really the beauty of the program, wherein post the program, depending on where they are in their education life cycle, as well as the career choice they've made, we give them placements accordingly. So whether it's a full-time job, part-time job, internships, job shadowing, picking up a vocational course, or kind of even doing something fundamental like a spoken English course or a core computer course. Those are kind of the offerings that we do post-program. So our really our two large kind of stakeholders we work with is corporate India, because we get them to buy into this whole story along with the young person. So those are the deliverables for which the students keep coming back.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for sharing that. Ketnabin, I want to come to you and speak a little bit more in detail about the Nina Foundation. What exactly does the foundation do? I know you described it in the opening statements and that, but do you approach someone who you've come to know that they have a spinal cord injury, or do they come to you? And if they do, what exactly does Nina Foundation do for them? Can you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
So it works both ways. Nina Foundation is the first NGO to establish a helpline for spinal cord injury. We realize that the most important thing, one thing needs to be clear out here is more than 85 to 90% of Indians who meet with a road accident or any kind of accident, who have a fall and a spinal cord injury, who have a tumor of the spine, and because of that there is a spinal cord injury, and TB spine is. These are the major. Adventure sport is a very negligible percentage. Most of them do not have access to a spinal cord injury rehabilitation program, because this does not exist. Spinal cord injury is not there in the Persons with Disability Act. We are bunched with, we don't know where, neurological, orthopedic, multiple disability. So, we are in a no person's land. There is fair amount of very good spine surgeons, neurosurgeons, orthopedic. India has an established medical system where the fixation of the spine is done. But after that, all of us, including me, in the financial capital of Mumbai, we get home-based rehab. So you can imagine a rehab program includes the physical aspect, which is physiotherapy, and occupation therapy. Occupation therapy is how do I get back to my life with any assistive technology or doing my activities of daily living, which also includes how I transfer myself to the commode, how I do my transfer from the wheelchair, how do I go out, my workstation, all that is occupation therapy, which is again missing. Most of the occupation therapists are in Urvi's land because they have a great uh, financially it is more serving. The opportunities are more there. So one is physical, second is psychological, to come to terms with. We've had friends at Nina Foundation who will not even be seen on a wheelchair. They are so embarrassed. I mean, a youngster, 24-year-old, and just moves out with his family in the night and eats in the vehicle, because they don't want to be seen on a wheelchair. So that's a psychological aspect. Also, the fact that um, uh, there is not acceptance, not coming with terms with it. The third is very important, vocational. You can't go back to your old job. Most of them were plumbers, construction workers. They have been, uh, uh, in those kind of jobs where they cannot go back to it, right? Uh, Fourth is social, integrating with society. I'm not always going to be in my home and working. I may have the work, but finally we have to integrate with society. That's a social aspect. The recreational, getting back to doing what you love. All of us love sports, love the outdoors, love the beaches. So that's recreational. And going out for movies and plays, concerts, and finally the spiritual, you know. So this is the rehab, which I also put it in a form of a pyramid diagram for my PhD thesis. So these are the levels of rehab. And to do that at home, it's going to be very difficult. So all this together, what we do, your question was what we do. So whether they come to us or we reach out to them, the most important aspect is counseling, mentoring, and because Nina was a homeopath doctor and I spent many hours with her, and I love medicine and homeopathy. In homeopathy, there is this thing about, like let's say Sherry has a bad throat. Yeah, she said, and you don't sound like a man, Sherry. Let me assure you that. Uh, the homeopath will not only look at her sore throat, will look at Sherry and Sherry's sore throat, So that's very distinctive, like a fingerprint. And out of all the things that she says, we take out a rubric in homeopathy. And that rubric makes the difference of the medicine that is given only to Sherry, not everyone. So maybe it's rubbed off on us and everyone in Nina Foundation. So we look at what is the most important priority thing that needs to be done for this child or for this person, and then we take it up from there. I remember Dr. Jacob had taken me for the first time to the slums of Borivali to, to see a friend of ours, Mr. Mori. God, he is no more, but it took him half an hour from his shanty to come in that uneven floor to where the car was parked, because I was on a walker, I couldn't go there, and he was also on his walker and he came. When we met and then when we spoke, what I realized, the first thing we need to do is that give him a folding chair, because he was totally drenched and it was a very big effort he had to take to come. And his child was actually because even the wheelchair wouldn't, move out there because of the narrow lane. That whenever his child is with him and he tries to come to a level and then on a tricycle, that he can sit on that folding chair, catch his breath, take some rest, and then restart his journey. So these are things which will not be found in rehab books, but these are things which ease the life of our friends who are from different parts and different terrains of India.
Thank you, Kitnabi. And I'm going to come back to you in a bit and talk about all the good stuff that you and Nina Foundation are doing. I'm really sorry I was unable to play that video. My sincere apologies, but you can talk about it and all the fun activities that you're doing. And I will encourage the audiences listening today live and the ones who are going to possibly look at it in future to go to your website and have a look at more stuff that you do. But I'll come back to you. We'll be coming to you. And I really want to touch upon a very important chord of the emotional balance that you and the doctors and your team and your friends and your colleagues and the battle that you go through practically every day. Okay, and there are sometimes cases that are limited time bound, and there are some who have a recovery possibility. How do you manage the emotions? One for yourself, and then of course for your friends and your colleagues, and then for the patient as well. You want to talk about that?
Sure. It's definitely been a journey for me, for sure. I think initially when I started, and I was a few months in, it was really difficult to see these people and talk about life and death and talk about how their lives get cut short and where do they go from here and how do they continue on living knowing that these things are around the corner for them, and how do they build a legacy and these kinds of things that are very, we don't think about them every day. We expect our life expectancy to be 30, 40, 50 years, and they are essentially living kind of on the edge all the time, even if they come with clean scans and even if, everything looks good. You can see the amount of relief that just kind of passes over them. But again, in 3 months, what is it going to look like? In 6 months, what is it going to look like? Am I going to be here for my children? So that was definitely an emotional toll for me, just seeing patients kind of going through those processes and trying to live with the diagnosis. You can't ever take that back. It's always going to be a part of their lives and their journey. And then I, started to work on the inpatient side of things in the actual hospital, and watching people actively die was a very difficult process that I had to go through and kind of adjust to. And, it's really not something you can wipe out of your mind. It's a very, very emotional thing. So I think for me, obviously I, have been here 9 years, and I, have kind of grappled with a lot of different things, a lot of different emotions, trying to really, and it is hard because I think, melanoma can affect a lot of our younger patients, 20s and 30s, and, watching them kind of go through these processes about, life and, what to do now, and, go through all the emotions. It's difficult because, I'm at that age, and, to think about life getting cut short at this point is a very difficult thing. So I will say I have the most supportive team members, the most supportive physicians, to watch them kind of make decisions, and to, it's difficult for our physicians, obviously, to have talks about, yes, we could potentially do these other treatments, but is, quality over quantity of life, and kind of making these decisions has been amazing to watch, just the thought processes and things that go into all those decision making. But also, I mean, I think watching the positivity of these patients, though, I really feel like at some point they do start to try and make the best of what they have, and they do see the light at the, you know, they do kind of see the lighter part of life and do try to enjoy the day-to-day. And I think for us to even be reminded of that as people without cancer, I mean, is a really important thing. So it's a process. It's an everyday process.
Thank you, Urvi. Thanks. You know, I know all three of you personally. I know the work that you guys are doing. So seeing you all together today and hearing all of you collectively is just taking me into a very different zone. So, and I'm on a different total mental level and emotional level right now. So my voice is probably saying that, but thank you. We have a lovely comment from one of the audience members. I'm going to read that out. It's a perfect timing. Mamta ji, thank you for putting this. So Mamta Paigankar she writes, the world really needs more women like you all. It would then be much better place to live in. Couldn't agree lesser than that. Thank you. Sherry, you are handling student outcomes and partnerships. So student outcomes, I think, is understandable. Kind of, you know, you see their growth and you kind of see what happens. What's partnership? You want to share a little bit about what exactly does partnership mean, number one. And number two that I want you to touch upon is, how can someone come in and help Antarang? Are you open to having volunteers? If yes, you know, talk us through both these points, please.
So I touched upon it a little bit earlier in terms of our stakeholders. So it's the corporate lens of the work that we do, which is the partnerships. At any given point pre-COVID, we had close to about 100 partners we would actively work with. These are all corporate organizations, all the way up from the Tatas down to, you know, an MSME in any area of Mumbai. And largely the work that we do with the corporates is we allow them to kind of use their CSR in multiple ways. So one is the big one, which is employee engagement, by offering jobs, internships, part-time work, any kind of job shadowing is how a corporate partner kind of becomes an anchor for young people in the work that we do. But we also, in addition to giving, you know, these facilities, we also offer mentorship. So our students get mentored from a period of 6 months all the way up to 1 year. And that's how individuals can volunteer and or our corporate partners kind of engage with the young people. So it's a bit utopian to think that a 3-month course can kind of really change mindsets. What it really does is opens up the mind of a young person to possibilities for themselves, but in no way do they actually assimilate what we kind of train or teach, only because their life experience is very different from us. So it's very easy to kind of go back to old ways, go back to कुछ नहीं करना है community में बस time pass करना है, you know, ultimately you're an 18-year-old 20-year-old, that's life for you, right? So it's a mentor in terms of a corporate volunteer or an individual that can really support this young person through this whole program, which expands either from a year, 6 months to a year. So that's a way in which a volunteer can really sign up. Another great way is, and I'm sure Dr. Mehta can kind of share my you know, feeling is, as not-for-profits, you're kind of limited in, you know, the capacity that you can build of the team that you work with. Most people work, you know, from the goodness of their heart. We all get paid, we're employees, but yet I think, you know, just moving into the sector is a lot to do with how you view life, what you want to give to life, what you want to give to the people that you work with. Yeah, so therefore, a lot of us come, you know, largely with just a large heart and not always with the skills and the competencies required, at least in this workplace. What volunteers can do or corporate mentors do is also kind of help us build our capacity. And they do it by kind of supporting, you know, whether it's in communications and helping us with our social media or helping us curate creatives or collaterals that we can use to promote the work that we do. We have very, very large corporates that help us with our technology platforms, for instance. So like any other not-for-profit, you know, with Antarang as well, we are super blessed to have very, very strong, very large corporate partners and very small ones as well that support us in ways much more than the big buck. Obviously, we need money to run the work that we do, but beyond that, to support us in opening up opportunities for young people
So that's what partnerships is. My role is largely to coordinate and kind of open up these partnerships, speak to a lot of huge and small corporates and see what can happen for the young people that we work with. It's been a difficult time. I think last 6 months, the biggest thing that has changed in this world is careers, is jobs. It's almost what we do kind of is on a standstill if we must, because people are losing jobs. You know, no one's hiring, only firing for the moment, unfortunately. But we still need to kind of work our way around it. So I think what we focused our efforts on is getting young people to upskill themselves in this time. Look to the various courses that are available, and that's been quite a big boom. We see a lot of online courses also in Hindi, Marathi, and all other languages, so it makes it a little comfortable for them. So we've had to shift gears and kind of see how we can support them with that. So yeah, that's largely the work that I do, just opening up all of this as well.
Thanks. I missed Mamta's one point. I think it was kind of moved from one segment to the other, but I'll read it out. Thank you, Mamta. She says, it's amazingly inspirational to hear all your stories. Sets us thinking about our course of life to keep touching lives as you have been so far. God bless. Thank you so much. Harsh is saying hello to all the panelists. So that is open, and I have, do I have anything more open? Yeah, okay. So there is Shilpa CD says, who needs fictional heroines when there are such amazing superwomen in the world? World is a better place because of earth angels like you all. See? Awesome. Thank you so much, Shilpa ji. They definitely deserve all the accolades, and more power to all of them. Great. Urvi, I want to come to you before I move. Now I'm going to move a little backwards. And what's been the most motivating story of a patient that has stuck with you? Has there been any? And I'm sure there are many, but is there something that comes off the mind straight away and you want to share about the patient if it's possible? And not necessarily the name, but anything that you want to share about?
I honestly think there have been so many, through the years that it's incredibly, I mean, it keeps us all doing what we do is the stories that we hear and, people's journeys through all of this. I did have one patient that I was very, very close to. He actually had a tumor or melanoma metastasized to the heart muscle itself. And, he wasn't doing very well. We had him on therapy, but it was kind of getting to that point where we were having a conversation about, is this really the quality of life that you want? And he said, I want more time with my grandchildren. I want more time with, it was all about the length of time that he just wanted to be there for his family. And also, there are pressures of family members as well. It's difficult a lot of times for patients to make a decision for themselves because there is a lot that goes on with that, family dynamics and things like that. So, we had these conversations a couple of times. I was very close to this patient. He was the most, through everything. He was in immense amounts of pain, couldn't really get around, couldn't really walk. But just the most jovial, positive person that I've ever, really come across. And there's been a lot of positive people, but he just kind of inspired. And he actually, one day I got a call from his son and he said, I took him to the hospital. He wasn't doing well and he's passed away. And it was very interesting because I just was in my memories of him and, just kind of mourning that loss essentially. And 30 minutes later, I get a call back and said, nope, he was pronounced dead, but all of a sudden he had a pulse and he came back to life. And this patient actually, so what had happened essentially was the treatment had broken off some of the tumor and it had gotten lodged in part of the blood vessel. And essentially he, miraculously somehow came back and he's been in remission for almost 3 years now. And he's made it his life's work to go around telling his story, and I think there is something to be said about losing life and then coming back, and he had a whole new appreciation. He was already a very positive person prior to that, but just this new, you know, revived kind of appreciation for life. And, you know, he's gone around kind of motivational speaking, and he's done all, you know, he's doing all the things that he couldn't do previously. And I just, there's multiple stories like that, but I mean, these people are incredible. So that's probably one of my most memorable.
Thank you. Sherry, you have any favorite stories to share about some of your kids? Someone that's really kind of risen from, you know, practically nowhere to where, and who's like an inspiration?
Again, there are so many. That's a difficult one. So I'll just tell you, just jogging memory. So it's the most recent one. In fact, it was just last week, and you know, the season of job losses, unfortunately. And there's this young boy who kind of worked his way up in a hotel. So about 3.5 years ago, joined as an apprentice at the Four Seasons. And, you know, there is right now this whole spate of kind of letting people go. So he lost his job about a month and a half ago. Super depressed, had kind of just started his life with this work. So 12th standard, joined as an apprentice, 2 years, joined the main kitchen, and then kind of got to work at Sanchi, which is one of their finest restaurants. And suddenly kind of losing job. He had loans, he has his EMI, he has, but more than anything else, what I learned, what he has is really this social pressure of, oh my God, Anand was working in such a fantastic place and now he's not. And I think this is the first time I realized that having a career or having a job is so much more way beyond self-satisfaction, finance. It's also about this image in society, largely for this demographic who has always a point to prove. And I got chatting with him about almost three and a half weeks ago, because hospitality, go find a job for him. And, you know, I just got chatting, and it was amazing to see how dejected he was. He was completely dejected. It was almost like life was over. And, you know, I'm listening to Urvi right now and thinking, oh my God, none of us can even say that, because I mean, those are stories of when life is over. But just this journey for the last 2.5 weeks of kind of just bringing his spirits back up, telling him it's really not the end of the world, you know, it's just a job, and, you know, things are going to move forward. And I think somehow he bounced back. And 3 days ago, he actually did pick up a job in a standalone restaurant. Definitely nothing compared to what he had before. But I think just this whole idea of venturing out, putting himself out there and picking something up. So it's a standalone restaurant, and he actually gets to now set it up. So it's an absolutely different experience for him, and he was super elated. So I think that's been my recent spark of happiness. And yeah, I mean, there are so many such stories, especially when it comes to young girls who come from very, very conservative backgrounds. When I think they manage to pick something up, I think the joy we know is extremely different.
Super. Thank you. I can see Urvi. Urvi, are your babies with you? Have they come to bother you?
Yes, they've been whining the whole time. So I told them.
You want to pick them up and say something? I let the people see and say something.
This is my one larger baby, and then the little one just ran away. So yeah, this is great. He's been a great emotional support for me too. So yeah, he's a good.
Thank you.
Thank
Give
you.
him a big hug from all of us here. Okay?
I will.
And whenever Keema comes back, bring her on the screen.
Yeah, I'll bring her on the screen when she comes back from exploring.
Thanks. Ketnabin, we were talking about you know, someone within the system that has left you motivated. Besides yourself, you have a fantastic motivational story yourself. But is there someone who, you know, you've recently or even in the past, that someone's story has stayed with you as a motivational factor, and you want to talk about that? And then, you know, once you finish with that, you could please tell the audience also about some of the wonderful stuff that you've been doing to motivate the other people in terms of making them celebrate themselves and coming doing stage shows and all the fun that they can have.
Oh, each one of them, each human being is unique, full of potential. Believe me, we are just nudging them. We are just listening to their They feel like, okay, there is someone who understands. We all have been through that journey. Someone who understands and someone who can solve, But believe me, the potential is everywhere, everywhere. And India is a country where at every nook and corner, you must read my articles because here I sound very soft, but my articles are very hard hitting and I fearlessly write about what is not there. And despite not being there, are human beings, are friends with spinal cord injury, are doing things which is like, beyond imagination, honestly. And we are a microcosm of this whole scheme of things. It is the potential, it is the family members, it is how they bring it together. We are just, making those environments and curating certain experiences. I'll give you an example. Sanika Shasani, a young 6-year-old girl, Urvi, she had a tumor of the spine, and Dr. Bhojraj called me up and said that this is the case. The mother was shattered. I mean, such a small child, and the chemo is going on. She was at Bhatia Hospital, and I and Dr. Jacob, who is a very senior physiotherapist, he's 84 now, and this I'm talking about when she was 6 years old. Right now, she's 24 years old. So we went to a place where she was at Dadar, not her home. They live in Mira Road, and I think I may have Santa's genes because wherever I go, first of all, to bring in that energy and that cheerfulness, I think everybody needs that. Another thing was because a smile is what finally we are working at. And if we cannot even give a smile to another human being, I think that is the most poorest poverty condition. So uh, I had taken a doll, knowing that she's a 6-year-old, and we just went there, and she had no hair, and she was so thin, and she was sitting on the sofa. The mother, Avantika, was like hyper. The father was very quiet, and the friends were there. So, Dr. Jacob did the motions about what can be done, assessment, etc. This child, this child has been through as many cyclical curves that are possible in an economic chart and more. And uh, so many surgeries, so many bed sores, urinary infections, curvature of the spine. Dr. Bhojra did a phenomenal surgery on her 3 years ago, to correct that because she had scoliosis, and because of that, she was, turning on one side, and, because we don't have sensation, it was almost touching the bone now. So how much can a cushion do? How much can a gel cushion do? This is the reality. And she has an indwelling catheter. With all that, you know, she got 86% in a management course recently in the second semester. And, she's a happy child. She's looking at doing a bank job and going forward. I think these are transformational stories which give me also goosebumps. And there are so many of them. And I'm telling you, we just do that. The rest is there.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm sure it is. But I want to know, you started your answer by saying that you write very hard stuff, and I know you do. Where can one access it, Kitna Ben? Is it there on your website, or is it there? Are you blogging about
Some
it?
of
Or?
them are there on the website. The research papers are there in the website. Uh, the articles mostly I've written for Money Life. Okay. I've written for Success and Ability. So maybe you need to Google and check. I'm trying to get a volunteer who will put this blog together. so out there. Oh, great. You're on. Sherry, thanks.
There's one thing that amazes me is that these conversations that I've been having, there've been so many collaborations, and it wasn't done with any intent of getting people connected, but it's blended so beautifully. And before just Kitna, when you were saying that statement, I knew that Miss Yazdani is going to raise her hand, and if she hadn't, she would have got a whack from me a little later. But trust me, she'll get in touch with you and she'll get your job done. So I know that's what I can guarantee. For sure. Okay, I want to speak about it may not be directly related, but I want to speak about artificial intelligence. Okay, let's start with Sherry. There's a reason I'm asking this, and it's related to all three of you in your fields, indirectly and directly also. Do you use artificial intelligence, Sherry, or have you thought about it to kind of understand the capabilities of the students and stuff like that, and going beyond just the normal stuff? You want to share a little bit about that, and then I'll come to Urvi and Dr. Mehta to talk about some parts from their side as well, please.
That's an interesting question. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm going to try that one. So in the process of our work, no, we haven't used AI directly, but what we do is already prepare students for 21st century life skills, but with a vision of 21st century careers as well. AI is coming in a big way, right? It's obviously adopted in the Western world far more than it has been adopted in India already. And one of the lenses we have really is to see how AI is replacing jobs. And that's the kind of interaction we have with the knowledge of AI, to kind of look at careers that are really going to be redundant because of AI and what it's going to do in certain spheres where, by and large, a lot of aspirations remain. So I think that's our exposure in terms of understanding what AI can do. We are not yet doing anything with AI. We are in conversations with a lot of large corporates to kind of digitize a lot of the work we do. So from using chatbots to using auto answers and things like that, I think there's a fair bit of technology that goes into that. That's the amount of technology space that we're using. But per se in our job, AI has not yet got affected. I don't think even sectorally, right? And it's not just about Antaram and employability. When you look at just the sector, the not-for-profit space, I don't think yet, I can't think of any cause where AI has been rampant by and large yet. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be enough and more scope for it to kind of infiltrate the work that we do as well.
I'll come and have a conversation with you, Payal, and the rest of the people at Antarang on this. Okay, seriously, I will, and I will. You'll take me up on that. Thank you for sharing, Sherry. Urvi, I know AI in medical field it's already far too advanced, right? And I don't mean to kind of trivialize the matter, but does AI help patients in any way? Have you guys used artificial intelligence, maybe just as a voice calming effect? There are lots that I have read about and heard about and seen. Does that make any difference to people who are with cancer? Does that help? And is anyone using it?
I'm trying to think of, situations where we're not really utilizing it. I mean, we're still using, in-person, humans right now, essentially. I think there's a couple of surgical procedures that they are using AI, but other than that, they're not really using AI in terms of psychological, interventions and things like that. It's still all human-based in our institution. I'm interested to know where that's going to go, but I think for our cancer patients, obviously, I think there's still that very human aspect that our institution at least wants to maintain. So yeah, I haven't directly experienced it.
Sure. No, thank you. It was actually coming in the medical field where patients need to talk, and not every time people are around. So it's not just a voice, but it's also like really artificial intelligence, as in there is no one around. It's just rays. They're using rays, electrodes and rays to have a body form in front of you when there's nobody actually. You can walk through them, but you can see a body form, and then they speak with you. It's doing some wonders in a lot of emotional cases. So I was just wondering whether you guys were doing that, but anyway, but
We
thanks for
need
sharing.
it. We need to have something like that for sure. But no, we haven't had that yet.
Thank you. Kitnaben, does artificial intelligence help in any way in spinal cord injuries in terms of, finding the, some kind of a solution or a way forward, or is there any work happening on that in India at least?
Satyan, I love you for asking this question. This is designed for all. You can see a mirror image, but I was invited as a guest editor for this international publication, and I have a single track mind. So I told the editor, if you're offering the guest editorship to me, I'm going to do it only on spinal cord injury. This is online, designed for all, and I will send the link, but you can just search the December issue. It's all one word, DESIGNFORALL. Well, I have written an 18-page editorial, and I'm so happy you asked me because I've just let my creative juices flow. As I told you earlier, I'm interested in everything, and most importantly, that the human being is the most evolved mammal. But we have given up the power to regenerate our nerves once they are severed. Not so with squirrels, who are lesser mammals. And this thought, because Dr. Pradhan, Hemubai, Dr. Himanshu Doshi, my brother-in-law, Nina, I have had multiple interactions. I will just read out, and please read it, because I've given so many concepts, ideas for prevention, for everything. There's one thing I would like to read out. In the Hollywood movie Elysium, have you seen that movie, Elysium, the space habitat? Which is technologically highly sophisticated. It has med base, so a medical bay, BAYS, that repairs all bruises, injuries, cures all diseases, and regenerates body parts. Why not this fiction be turned into a reality for spinal injury repair? And there are so many such ideas that I have put in there. And I think they are all realms for hackathons, for young minds, for people from different fields and multidisciplinary coming together. In spinal cord injury, we have got to exoskeleton, which is an external system. We've gone to implants. We've got to a lot of things. But for bladder, bowel, skin, bed sores, I've also mentioned about bed sores because believe me, it is so difficult to accept that a healthy person dies because of bed sores. And I don't think this happens in Western countries. And there is no way we can call ourselves a superpower. And there is no way we have the right to send out people and unmanned missions to Mars, etc., to find new life. Let's take care of our lives right here and look at solutions and look at, how we can make the quality of life better. This is all about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kitnaben. I didn't know I was going to touch this lovely chord with you, but thank you. And I've made a note of the book Designed for All, and I want to grab my hands on it for sure.
I will send you a copy. I'll send you a copy.
I'll pick it up. No, I'll pick it up. That's the least I can do, but thank you so much. Urvi, say something quickly before Keema disappears. So let people see Keema's on your lap. She's popped in.
Yeah, I know. They have to make their appearance. I don't know.
Lift her up a little bit.
Oh, so adorable.
She's getting old.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you
for thank her and for popping in again.
I know she had to make her appearance too. She was like, I'm also going to be on screen.
Thank you. Ketnaben, Shilpa CD has a comment. She says, Ketnaji, I really like your idea about AI, and I wish it can be used to make life better for especially, I think especially abled people. Yeah, I think that's the right. Okay, I'm moving to the last part. There's so much more I want to talk about, but I want to respect everyone's time here as well. And this one piece which I really want to ask each of you is we're living in a very different time. Okay, we moved across a lot of years and centuries. The people are more learned. They have access to information. So be it a patient for Urvi or for anyone, be it a student for Sherry and Antarang, and be it a patient again for spinal cord patient who comes to Nina Foundation for help or assistance. They have access of information which we didn't, or probably we didn't have 5 years back, or maybe a few years back also. I want to know have you seen a change in people's expectations because of this ease of information that they have about, or their demands have changed, their expectations have changed. You want to talk a little bit about that? We are coming to probably the end of this, and then we'll have closing comments after this, but I'd love to have your thoughts on this. Sherry, you want to take this first, and then I'll move with Urvi and Kitnaben after that.
Absolutely. I think it's again, the age group that we work with. We work with, teenagers from 14 all the way up to 28. So yeah, mid 20s. And it's all this access to information that has caused a great amount of possibilities, I would like to say. So there is this huge amount of possibilities for them to know that urban India has so much to offer someone who's trying, to kind of get themselves out of this poverty cycle that they've been in forever. So I think definitely having this information at your fingertips, knowing where to go, what to do, how to do. I think also this confidence that gets built in to know that, people can't very easily con you because, Google at hand, you can always access information at the tip of your fingertips. That has really been the plus side of having, this excess of information available to you at any given point in time. I think the flip side to that, though, is this access of information also leads to, I think, just wrong perspectives about what media shows you, right? So it's all this media that gets flooded 24/7 into your phones, into your TVs, into, just the boom that we saw in the 90s with cable TV coming on and things like that. And I think what it has done is also kind of added to these expectations that they have out of life without putting in, the work that goes behind. So if I had to explain this, I think what media will show you is a lot of successful people really wearing beautiful clothes, sitting in front of a computer in an AC office, and somehow we believe that is how urban India works. What it does not show you is all the struggles that you do, the hours and hours of studying you do to get that 90%, get to that college, then land that job. And I think all of that to a young person from an impoverished background, to them it's, if I am a BCom and I have a graduate degree, that is where I'm going to be. So I think that that division or the gap that exists also exists because of this incorrect information or media that we have around us. So definitely a boon and a bane, more boon than bane, I would say. It's a personal opinion. I think this information also allows them to have agency. And one of the biggest things you want to play with, I mean, we are a country ultimately with this whole demographic to our advantage. And I think information is what's going to take them through. So yeah, that's my take.
Thank you. Kitnaben, you want to share your thoughts on this? Sorry, I know I'm just changing the, I said Urvi first, but I'll let you go first.
Sure. Again, great question. We started with this. This is the publication One World. And this is how we started Nina Foundation, because I was an editor. What I had skills was writing and editing. I said, what can I do? And what was missing in 1995 and to some extent even today is information, right? So this information, and we are the only regular publication. I kill myself and so do I, Dhaval's office and his team and everyone else. But, this has worked so magically. Information, bonding, we created a support group for the first time because, when I got it, I had so many questions and there was no internet. I got the internet much later, but, there was so many questions and I would ask the doctors, etc. But then, everyone is like, when it happens, of course, Dr. Pradhan used to, always be like my helpline and explain and so erudite. But the publication, the support group, the information, uh, you know, uh, now we have WhatsApp support groups. And believe me, when we celebrated 10 years, we've also started the Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Day, because awareness, education, empowerment is what, we've touched lives with. And when we had that, uh, we realized that, they just spontaneously came back saying that what is the difference, and they said that, you know uh, uh, the marathon pics, imagine someone who is in a remote village and they see a beautiful picture of theirs in print or on digital, and they feel their dignity, their self-esteem, it's wonderful. I think all that together, all the hard work, sweat, toil, tears finally make a difference.
Thank you, Kitna. And I just wish I could let you, all of you go on and on and on, and, but unfortunately, we're time bound. But thank you so much for sharing that. Urvi, coming to you on the any changing expectations in patients with the technology at their disposal, and you want to share something about it?
I mean, quite a bit. I mean, I think it's always important to empower patients to kind of take control of their own healthcare and take control of the information. But there's so much wrong information out there that I feel like, they really take it to another level, and they're why can't I have this treatment? Why can't I have this treatment? But this person said this. And they're also having access now to Facebook and things like that, where they're forming groups of other patients, which is great, which is a great support for them. And obviously, they have the perspective of a cancer patient that is going through the same thing. So, it's a great opportunity for them, but it also feeds a lot of wrong information and a lot of, undoing on our part, in the sense of, trying to really kind of teach them the right information and kind of back it up with the research. Because that's the problem, is patients don't really have access to the actual research, or they just don't, they can't quite comprehend how, the research is written. So it's a little difficult in that sense, that there is so much access, and it's not, Dr. Google is not always correct. So that's been a bit of an issue.
Thank you. Okay, so Binayfar has sent a comment. Hats off to all three wonderful ladies. We salute you for your wonderful contribution. Very inspiring. Bravo. God bless you all. So there you have more power to each of you. So I'm going to give my virtual hug to Urvi, Sherry, and Kitna Ben. Here's my virtual hug to you guys till I can manage to come and meet you and greet you in person. Thank you. Thank you for the honor for doing this. Thank you. I've had a fantastic session. I got a little emotional, and I was happy that you guys, someone or the other was talking, and I was not on the screen. But the recording will have all four, so that's going to capture that. But nonetheless, I wish you, your enterprise, your organizations, your family, your friends, and all the lives that you touch, and keep doing that. All the very best. Quick closing comments from each of you, and then we will wind up for the day. Kitna, when you go first, Urvi next, and Sherry will have the last word.
Well, I just realized at the end, this is a personal note, that this is your episode 12 and season 2. And I realized it just, when we started. And, I believe a lot in spiritual connections, and a sign that one is getting old and the interest levels are lying somewhere else. But my birthday is 12th December. My spinal cord injury happened on 12th Feb at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And here we are celebrating live on your 12th episode.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I couldn't have asked for a better panel than all three of you, seriously. And I had no doubt in my mind that, I'm just glad that we could have a conversation more than anything. I just love the smiles that you have and look at, and just knowing how positive you people are. It's very draining emotionally, physically, and mentally. I know that amongst a lot of other people who I know that. But thank you, Ketnabe. Purvi?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on here. I mean, you women are amazing. I'm totally inspired this morning, so I'm I'm very grateful to have been on here and experienced your stories as well. I mean, I think it's incredible, and yeah, I just I just want everybody to kind of enjoy the day to day, and even the small things. Take great joy in all the little things. It's they're hard to come by these days, and so just hugs to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks, Urvi, and you enjoy your well-deserved break. Have a great time before you get back to reality. And the last comment I'm taking is from Harsh. He says, "Super session. God bless you all, and all the very best always." Thank you, Harsh, for joining in and for sharing your thoughts. Sherry, all yours.
I mean, really, to begin with, thank you for having me. I'm listening to the stories of Dr. Mehta and Urvi, and I'm thinking, I'm at the luxury side of social service right now. I mean, they're the ones doing fantastic work. I mean, when you're working with lives, it's just next level. We're just here to provide access, and that in itself is so gratifying. So to me, I think really just thank you for this opportunity, for being in the presence of these lovely people. And also really, much like what Urvi said, it is, these times are very trying. I think for all of us, just to be here, be safe, be blessed in itself is quite a big thing. So yeah, just be safe through Corona, and hopefully we all type this through really, really quickly, and we get to meet each other, which has been long pending, 21 years and still counting.
I know I'm getting that taunt from you. I deserve it. I deserve it, but nonetheless, thank you. Point well made and point noted, and I will make sure that you're here very soon. But thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Ketnabin, thank you. It's been an honor. It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming. Sherry, thank you very much.
All of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and keep doing all the.
Dr. Mehta, I'll get in touch with you.
Sure, and God bless you.
My
Thank
hand.
you. Been amazing.
Bye-bye. You take care and have a lovely trip. Thank you, audience.
So much.
Thank you for being here. And thank you, all three of you. Bye-bye. Take care. I'm signing off now.